So in this video, we will see how to identify the minimum properties and get started with the actual entities, or it's called POCO, which is just the plain old C# object. Now, before we actually create the actual classes for them, we could go ahead and come out with the schema like this, or with a pen and paper we could just continue that example. But what I would want to do is straight away start coding with the C#, so it'll be easy for us without having to copy paste things. We can just go ahead and type this out once and for all in our Visual Studio. So what I've done here is to just create a new Windows Form application, and the first thing I would do here is to create a folder called data. So I would want to put all my data related files in this folder, and in order to start creating our POCOs, I'll just say add new class. I'll just leave it at the default. I am anyway planning to separate all these classes later on, but just for the sake of ease of discussion, I'll start creating all the classes in one file and later separate them. Let's say we wanted to create a class called priest, which is one of our entities. We would do this, and similarly we will create something like a prasadam type, and similarly for the prasadam itself, right? So this way I am just, instead of typing the schema on a notepad and then copying here and then creating properties for it, I can just go ahead and create the required classes directly here, and we can also start keying in the required properties this way. And remember, in C#, you can have multiple class definitions in a single class file, all of which could be public, and moreover, there is no restriction on the names of the file name and any of the class names here. So it's quite flexible that way. And since I want to start typing properties, I'll just say prop and say tab, and at a minimum I'll have something called as an ID for all the entities, and similarly we might want to have other properties for all the entities. Now let's just focus on the minimum required properties and not everything you would want to have out there until we form the database or form the entities, and later on see how to add navigation entities. So in order to save time, let me just pause and get the minimum required entities and their details out. So what I've done here is I've just added the minimum required properties for all entities without worrying about the relationships between them or establishing the relationships between them using navigation properties. We will do that in a later step, but once we have the basic details, it would look something like this. So we would like to take this example further and form some relationship between them in the next video.